into we were having such a great conversation about global leadership and courageous leadership, especially trusting when things get hard, because they will, the power of what is possible when you really listen to that global aspiration that you have and you lean into the impact you want to make on the world. And I wish I could remember the exact sentence you were saying, because I was just like, yes, yes. And then it was like,
well, we were talking about, I was sharing that this hasn't been an easy journey for me, and that I really wanted people to know that, because I know that there's a lot of people that experience being shy and camera shy and being afraid, and they're like, I can't do that, I'm this. I want them to know I'm exactly where you were.
yeah.
And not 10 years ago, not 20, like 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? So this is recent for me. So when you see me here, know that I was hiding and afraid for years, like almost a decade, and I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
The time from when I knew that this was my path to when I actually stepped into it,
yeah,
they were just like years in between that, made excuses. Oh, I'm shy, right? Like we were talking about how I was so committed to that story and that crutch of shy,
right.
that even if Oprah was like, come be on my couch, I would have been like, I don't know, right? And so it's interesting. The first opportunity I had to be interviewed on video was actually by someone really big. And that was for me, like the switch turned in my head. And literally in the moment, I said, I can choose fear and say no simply because I'm camera shy, or I can challenge myself and go. And so I went, and my way, like, I was like, okay, Chizzy, you have 2 days to get over this camera shyness. I didn't get over it. Like that didn't happen in 2 days. That just, it didn't. But what I did do was say, here's what I'm going to do for my own sanity. I said, I'm going to practice the questions I'm going to ask. I'm not going to practice and watch myself on video. I'm just going to be confident in my talking points. Otherwise, I'll watch the video 20 times and scrutinize everything and just all of these different things.
Yeah.
So I'm really just sharing that for the people that are like, yeah, but it's easy for you. Oh, but you're a natural. No, I'm not a natural. It took decades for me to even say, yeah, I'll get on your video.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll do an interview with you. Yeah, I'll speak and be like the face of this entire movement. That, you can ask my best friends growing up. They would say to you like, yeah, you've come a long way. One of my best friends is in my community, and she said, like, when I watch your videos, I'm like, who's that woman? Because she knows that, like, it's been a journey.
Yeah. I think there are people who are right on the brink of a big shift, you know? It's like folks have already done a lot of stuff, and it's really we all have layers of safety and comfort that like allow us to survive, right? But when we choose to step out of that next safety net, like when you've taken a step and you're like, okay, it wasn't that bad. Now let me take the next step because I know I'll be able to impact more lives. So I'm curious if you have any tips for us or advice or ways that you push past. Can you continue to push and lean in and take the leaps of faith and listen to your intuition?
Absolutely. Well, it's one, just acknowledging that I am afraid, right? Like, don't get it twisted. I still experience these things. And I actually learned a few years ago that people that have made it, they still experience it too. So even knowing that, I was like, whoa, Oprah feels fear. Holy crap. Kobe Bryant gets afraid. What? Like for me, Maya Angelou talked about how she like wrote a book on her 12th book. She thought people would find her out. What? The Maya Angelou?
Yeah.
Right? So understanding that at every level, resistance is there. And so now I literally step back and look at it and I'm like, all right, this is, again, this is the long game for all of us. There's this huge mountain. What happens if you stand at the bottom of the mountain and you're like, how the hell am I going to climb that?
Right.
You're going to ask yourself, how the hell am I going to climb that? And you'll get discouraged and you'll either say, all right, let me go sit over there and make this plan. And I'll come back in 2 years after I've made this plan, as opposed to, okay, well, I can't climb that whole thing now, but you know, can I step on this brick in front of me? Yes. Okay. All right, cool. Now I'm at this like a little bit off the floor. Where's the next place? Okay, it's up to the left. That's kind of a tough one. okay, like, and literally focusing on like this huge, it's this mountain, but like where you are in the present, I'll never forget hearing Will Smith talk about brick by brick and like moving a brick wall from one side of his front lawn to the other. That entire
Mm,
principle changed my life in every area, because it was,
mm,
can you focus on moving one brick at a time, as opposed to, we're supposed to build this big brick wall. And for people who are ambitious, it can be overwhelming, because you're like, all right, so I'm about to have, I'm gonna make sure that 20,000 people get passports, travel, live abroad, help their families do it,
mhm.
you know, and then document it, record it, like, okay, cool. Ooh, that's a lot. Yeah, let me go have a snack instead. Like, let me go do anything instead,
Yeah.
right? So it's literally like leaning into like what is fear,
Mhm,
what you're like, and again, it's back to you. The
mhm,
same thing when we talk about the ideal vision is
mhm.
similar to your fears. Your fears are personal to you.
Right.
Some people are not afraid of the camera, so for them, yeah, sure, whatever. For
Mhm.
me, that was huge. So
Right.
in this journey as well, I call it like, I'm a huge athlete. So when I think about all the things I've been able to accomplish as an athlete, I take those same principles and looking at something like a track field, right? What a hurdle is literally like the same thing as your mental hurdles. And if you envision
Mhm.
it, when someone's going running on a track and they come across this hurdle, what do? They've been trained to get the momentum, to get the mindset, to get to the belief, and to physically train too, so that they can clear that hurdle.
Yeah.
Guess what? Sometimes, no matter how great you are, you still will stumble upon that hurdle.
Right.
Sometimes, no matter how much you've trained and no matter how ready you are, you still might fall on your face.
Right.
Flojo did. Like, no matter what, and understanding that. But here's what helps: anticipating what your specific mental hurdle is. It comes to
Mhm.
like, can you give this speech in Spanish? Whoa, what? Excuse me? Come, this opportunity in this place, huh? But because I know that this is one of my things, I'm like, ooh, okay, that's a really big hurdle for me. So
Mm,
now I know it's coming. And when I get there, for example, like if I want to live and work in somewhere that's Spanish speaking, that's going
mhm,
to add an extra layer for me personally.
mm,
Okay, cool. I might I might go back and revert to my shy self and my camera shy self, but
mm.
knowing that that is going to be my hurdle, I'm able to be self-aware and say, no, you're not allowed to say, well, let's just not go to Central America. No, no, no. What do you need to do to prepare to make Central America a better experience? And that might mean, you know what? Maybe I will make sure I live with a Spanish speaking roommate. Maybe I will make sure that, I always have my translator on me. Perhaps I'll, push myself to go to some expat language exchange events every,
Mm.
week, as opposed to instead, let's just go to London. If I know that's my hurdle, I'll know when I'm BSing myself, let's just go to London. You don't like London more than you want to live in Central America. Like, I know this about myself. And
Yeah.
so understanding your personal mental hurdles,
Right.
yours and no one else's, because for
Mhm.
other people, they'll be like, simple, Rachel, all you got to do is, and if someone's great at something and you're not, it's always all you got to do is, right?
Mhm.
And so being really honest with yourself. What
Mm,
is the stuff around your mental hurdles? What are those hurdles? What are you afraid is going to go wrong? I had a friend who said she's afraid to travel, just physically the act of traveling, because she's afraid of what's going to happen when she's gone. She's a mom.
mhm.
So understandable. And when she's gone, it's almost like everything's going to fall apart if I go and travel. And we started to explore that, and she realized like that came from a lot of learned behavior in family. She said even when she travels domestically, she's like, oh
Mhm.
no, the bellboy's going to kill me. Oh no, this is going to happen. It was like, got it. And she's still working through it. But again, that hurdle, she's got global dreams. For her, the hurdle is
Mhm.
the actual physical act. Oh my goodness, getting on a plane, I'm afraid of heights. Holy crap, I have these trust issues in terms of just daily people are out to get me. That's big. So
Yeah.
now if you add the language component in a foreign land, ooh,
Right.
I've got hurdles at every step.
Yeah.
Great. So now for her, can I plan one trip abroad? That might mean, can I bring my good friends that have done this already, plus maybe a few people that are new as well? Okay, should I start in the Caribbean in an English speaking place, and then maybe the year after go somewhere like France, Dubai, or something? You know, start with something that's one hurdle at a time.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's my advice. You have to be so honest with you have to be honest with yourself in the sense that you're writing it in your journal, right? The way we write to ourselves when we're, writing a letter to God or writing in our journals and we know it's just for us is different than when we're even talking to a friend, no matter how close that person is, no matter if that's your twin, it's just different. So be honest with yourself in that level of like, I'm writing in my journal, it's only for me. What are you really afraid of? And then also, here's a big piece. Allow yourself some grace. I used to be really hard on myself for the things I didn't do. I was afraid that my mission and my global vision didn't matter because I wasn't looking to cure cancer and poverty, create schools and scholarships for kids. And so I said, well, I'm not looking to solve any big problems. My mission is not important. So giving yourself grace that even if you haven't yet accomplished things, okay, great. So today's a new day.
Yeah.
What are you going to do moving forward? And what did you learn from all of that stuff? Because the things we didn't accomplish, it's so that we can learn all of these things. For me, I learned honest courage. I learned how to serve other people. I learned that this is not just a business. This is literally like shifting. We made this joke in the first one, changing the fabric of our lives. Guys, that's the cotton logo expressions. So we're going to start having them sponsor these. That's the second time I've said it in an hour.
Yes. Yeah. Change the fabric. And it starts with one step. I think that these big, like you said, the mountain feels so big. And if somebody's like, I'm on a mission to go to every Spanish speaking country, I want to go to every Spanish speaking country before I die. That's my bucket list. I taught Spanish. I love speaking Spanish. It lights up my soul. I don't use the language of goals as much anymore because that has a connotation of attachment for me. And so I literally call it moving a rock up a mountain. Like your big why is the mountain. And each big goal is a rock. And I feel like if we just start with pushing something up the mountain tomorrow, and today is the final day of the challenge, and I'm asking y'all to make one commitment and set one intention, a commitment for the next month that you're going to do, something you're going to do every day. And then setting an intention for all right, here's my courageous vision. Here's my intention for my courageous leadership in 2018. And then taking all of Chizzy's insight and wisdom, I feel like anticipating what the hurdles are going to be is only going to help you get stronger.
I coined the term honest courage because it's for the have a vision that they're like, I really do want to see more of the world, more than just a 4-day trip. I am tired of rationing out my 2 to 3 weeks of vacation and trying to take 4 trips out of 21 days. That's exhausting as hell. I'll tell you that. That's really exhausting. And honest courage, I believe, is everyone's secret superpower that they're able to tap into and say, okay, I can confidently, unshakably, without a shadow of a doubt, express my global vision to live a borderless life. And I'm not going to put up with your shoulds, which is how your life should look, right? We talked about that little box.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow you to shame me because how dare you want to leave this country when so many people work hard to get here and you went through all this school, right? And then the guilt. There's going to be guilt. But your family's here. Don't you want to watch your cousins grow up and your nephews and nieces? And if you already have your own kids, they should be close enough to play with each other. You know what? Absolutely right. You get as well. Being bold about this borderless journey, because if you can't stand in it boldly, you know what's going to happen? And it's happened to me. You're going to ask for this much. You're going to say, when someone's like, if only I can make enough to blank. And what comes after is the bare minimum to survive. And that's really what happens when you're not walking boldly in this vision. You're like, well, if I could just get 3 more trips, and then you'll start asking for more trips. And then you'll start you'll start praying for more vacation time as opposed to really understanding there is a sustainable solution. You'll ask for the bare minimum, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you'll get the bare minimum.
The people who are developing families or whatever the case may be, if you have the opportunity to bring your children to another country, to be exposed to another walk of life, another language, another culture, another type of palate, like food palette, you're opening their eyes, you're changing the trajectory of their sphere of influence. Like, it's so
Yep.
bold and big in that big of a way, right? So even if it's just a month, and I love that you say that, because it's like, could be a month or it could be a whole life that you choose to kind of set up camp in different places, and everyone's got their rhythm. I can't wait to hear what it makes you kind of excited and motivated to do more of, right? What's one country that you've always wanted to go to and you have no idea why, but in your heart you felt like, I'm supposed to go there for some reason? Where are your ancestors from? Why do you feel called to go back to where you're from, like where your roots are? I think there's like, we're all meant to go back home to each other, you know? It sounds cheesy, but I love your definition of global leadership.
Can you expand on that? You said we're all meant to go back home to each other. What do you mean by that? Because I have a vision of that as well.
Okay, good. So I think that we have so much more alike than we do different when we give ourselves permission to listen to each other, to understand that we all have fears and challenges and triumphs and anxieties and worries, right? And I think that because no one was designed, was not I know my ancestors, my dad's family's from Romania. I've never been to Romania. My mom's family's, her mother's Scottish and her father's German, right? So there's this mix of like people who have deep roots in Europe. I think I'm meant to go back for some reason in some point in my life to understand where I came from, right? That's what I mean, because I think once we go back in the journey of getting from here to there, we meet all these people along the way, and then we go back. We're all searching to go back to somewhere, and that's where we meet each other. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. It makes sense. So when you said that, it made me think of, I always say, we've been here before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the people that love to travel in a way that's deeper, I'll always use this Instagram example. It's deeper than social media pictures. It's this, like you said, rumble in their belly. It's something unlocks inside of them, and they're like, no, this isn't just a trip, right?
Right.
I genuinely feel like we all kind of come back, and the ones that are like, I need to experience more of the world, we've been here before, where we're like, okay, but now I need to still see more of the world. Like, we were here when, and I'm talking figuratively, right? We were here when the planet was still one supercontinent. We were here when there was no oceans dividing us. It was just oceans around us. I still think about what would the world look like if that never happened? I would say, Rachel, you want to come to China with me? Okay, we're going to take a 3-day train. Awesome. What are you doing tomorrow? I'm on a 4-week train to Australia. Cool. No problem. But then, of course, like, we would still have islands, but they would all be like this around the perimeter of our supercontinent, right? And so we've been here before, and that's why we connect so easily with other people that are on this similar journey, because I stood there, you stood there, and you could say ancestors or descendants, but at some point our same spirit and soul and energy are back, and we're like, I'm looking for something I can't find because it's not necessarily a thing. I haven't been everywhere, but it's on my list, right? Because there's not one place that's going to fulfill this like wanderlust. It's just, I can't even explain it, but we're all connected in just that thread of there's more, and I got to go find it. And for you, it looks different than for me, but I know that it happens out there. That's all we all can agree on.
That's right. That's right. And here's what I want to connect to Najada's point, because this is where spark and this intentional visioning happens, right? Because everyone in here wants to help people in some way, shape, or form. And I love that Najada's passion is around helping women and girls, specifically in developing countries. So that mission, you're putting it out into the universe. I heard it. I can't unhear it, Najada. And you want to travel to coach small groups of women around the world. And I celebrate you because that's the first time I've heard that. And I celebrate that, because to say that out loud and to think about, like, originally my spark was I wanted to help women. And then I start to think about wait a second, I'm positioned with a lot of privilege in America. LGBTQ community, a lot of women are silenced in other countries trying to come out and trying to experience their world. What's holding me back from trying to reach more people with my story and my message? If I know it could save a woman's life, we're having this Me Too phenomena in the US, but this stuff has been going on globally forever. And so once we have a personal connection, then that spark, the light just shines even brighter, right? Think about Malala and the impact she's had on the world because she took a stand about one very specific thing. So women, this is our time to rise. That's all I got to say, is that, like, once we get crystal clear around our purpose and we support each other and lift each other up and shine on each other, something that I feel so strongly about, that we are an unstoppable force, and it's going to change the world. So that's what I got to say about that. I got excited. But thank you, Najada, for sharing that and putting that out into the universe. And I invite everybody to take a courageous leap and to share, what is that like when you peel away one more layer to say, okay, so I really want to help moms. I want to create a sisterhood for mothers. I want to help biracial moms.
And can I ask yourself why? Because when you understand why, also ask yourself, where is this dream?
Yeah.
Is your parents' mom? That's just, I listen to the dreams and the shoulds of, you should be a lawyer, a doctor, you should be, those things that are safe. So you started on that path, and now you're like, well, maybe I can go do mission trips and, save people in third world countries and do some medical mission trips. Is that really your dream? Or is it because you started off by walking into the shoulds, which I'm not faulting you for. I started that way too, but it's easy to continue on that path that's not yours, nor is it your ideal, again, your ideal vision. And if you can really peel back the why and the where it comes from, and is this actually mine? And is this my wildest? That's the big piece. Like when I say ideal, like blank canvas.
Yes.
I'm a genie in a bottle. What do you really want? Like Aladdin and the genie, and like they're here now. Are you really going to say, okay, genie, make me a doctor in Somalia because I'm a doctor here? I'm actually going to say, man, I actually want to start a bed and breakfast in Fiji. How the hell do I do that? You know what? Worry about the how later. But for now, it's really being confident about what that vision is. Otherwise, what happens? You're going to ask for the bare minimum, and you'll get it. And that's all you'll get. And I've been there too. All I need is this much. All I want is a little this.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Right. And you don't want to trouble people. You're like, I don't want to inconvenience. I won't ask because I just don't like, I don't want the attention, whatever the case may be. That was me. Like, I didn't want to inconvenience people. I didn't want to, like put myself out there and get rejected. I didn't want to, I don't know. There was so much about me not asking that now it's like, if you believe in something with all of your core and all of your, and you don't ask, you're like, if I don't ask, actually, I'm missing, my community is going to be impacted, right? Like if I see what's possible and I don't do it,
it's bigger than your fear. Yeah, I saw something come up on Facebook Memories, which I think it was like a quote that I wrote or quoted someone, and it was something like, when I'm serving, big my mission is. So when like this is like, now this is bigger than me. So it's like, yep, I'm afraid, but you know what? I'm going to choose my great grandchildren that don't even exist yet. and I'm going to choose their journey to understand, like, this is going to help them and their
Yeah.
friends. And
Yeah.
like just the spiral effect in our culture. And the cotton brand, shout out to Cotton, who should be sponsoring this.
I
For
love
the
you.
third mention. I think we need to become brand ambassadors of Cotton. We're gonna
I
talk to
know.
them.
I think it's on the rise. But yeah, no, I think there's so much about like us. We have to shed the shoulds, the shames, and the guilts, and we have to remember. Yes, we are designed. We're wired to avoid discomfort. Our brains are protecting us from feeling pain. It's our wiring, but we
Yes.
have the capacity to rewire, and we have the capacity to remember that it's just a story we're telling ourselves. And like I always tell people, imagine like when we're our own worst critic and we're hearing all like, oh, you can't do that, or why would you, are you sure you want to do that thing? Answer the door if someone was knocking on my door and screaming all that at me. Like, would I actually accept that from a stranger? No, I wouldn't. Like, I
Yep.
wouldn't hear that all of that criticism from somebody. I would shut the door in their face and be like, excuse me, I don't know you, why are you yelling at me, you know? And so just remember that we have power. Like, our minds are in our beliefs, like you said, are such powerful forces. And you're a living, breathing example of that courageous, honest leadership, Chizzy, and someone who really blazes trails for generations behind you and people who are just discovering their global calling. And so, what a gift! What a gift you are to the world.
Thank you so
I know we're definitely at time because we have had so many different starts and stops and twists and turns. But it's been such a
much.
pleasure. And before we close out, I just want to ask if you have anything else you feel called to share with my community and the Spark, now your Spark community, and anything you have on the horizon that you want them to know about.
Oh, so much on the horizon. But before I share that, I just want,
Yeah.
if you haven't gotten anything out of this and you only remember one thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's this. Bet on yourself. Like, that is the one thing that shifted everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that it's a long game. It's the long game. It's a journey. But make the decision first. Bet on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how amazing all these other work with other people means. If you
Mm-hmm.
ever, which was only working on someone else's vision because I was afraid mine wouldn't work, and I lived in my head, and the idea was executing in my head. That's still not executing, right? And I was afraid to bet on myself. I was holding on to the story of I'm shy. I was holding on to the story of, well, I don't know, maybe late, like all of these things. And can I actually tell you, the election with our current, political leader is actually what pushed this over the edge, because I had people from different social circles asking me to help. Bet on yourself.
Interesting.
Game, bet on yourself. It's a decision before you think of like how and where am I going to go and what am I. Great, those things will come together, and I can help you do that. But if you don't bet on yourself, then it doesn't matter what I tell you. It doesn't matter what Oprah herself tells you. It doesn't matter what like your favorite whoever tells you. It's really up to you to not only bet on yourself, but also believe in yourself. Because sometimes we go through the motions, but we actually don't believe it. There's been times where I've prayed for things I didn't actually believe would happen for me. Not to say I didn't think it can happen, but I was like, yeah, but Rachel is different. But, this person, all of these things. Bet on yourself, believe in yourself. And here's the last part. The stories that you hold on to, I get those stories, but ask yourself, where in other areas of your life do you do great things? What can you learn from that? For me, it was sports. It's huge, right? Started off playing basketball, swimming, all of these things I still do to this day. Living abroad, I've been able to like learn new sports, and I love it. So for me, it's what I learn on the court, on the track, in the pool, in the ocean, in the world. Oh, I can. It just means if I have to imagine myself in, sneakers and shorts, and sure, that's what you do. So for some people, maybe you're an awesome, like maybe you make pastries in an awesome way. But you know what? That takes courage too, to say, like, I'm going to make this thing. You might think it's gross. That hurts your feelings. But let's say
Yeah.
about a pastry, those things are still big. Like the little things are the things. So I want everyone to remember that. Those little things that you're doing, I'm going to learn to make a new meal. That still takes a little bit of, wait a minute, everyone might hate it. Maybe I just wasted a whole bunch of money and time. Maybe all those
Yeah.
little things, like there's little things you do in your life that you do really well.
Yes.
Take those into this journey, and I
Yeah.
promise you that's where you're going to see yourself shine. Because, okay,
Yes.
for me, okay, foreign languages, not necessarily my thing. I'm not going to claim that, but it's a mental hurdle. So now I take all of my sports knowledge. Okay, great. How do I have to train my mind? What do I need to do? What am I going to start with? Spanish comes easiest to me. So I'm not going to start with Mandarin. I'm not going to start with Arabic. I'm going to start with Spanish. Okay, great. I'm going to join you and Tayo and Mayoko's group. Cool,
Yeah.
awesome. I'm going to watch more of these shows in, different languages. All I'm saying is everyone's journey is so different.
Yeah.
Bet on yourself, extend yourself grace. Yesterday is yesterday. Take those lessons. Like that's what that's for, the lessons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thing. That's fine. What did you learn from it? And if you ask yourself in every situation where you don't achieve what you set out to achieve, guess what? It's because the
Yeah.
lesson you learned is actually greater than the goal that you were supposed to achieve. And
Exactly.
that is really what's going to help you with this entire journey. Like, ooh, that was tough. Oh, I didn't win. I like my business failed. I didn't get these clients. I applied for these jobs abroad. I didn't even get an interview. I got interviews. They didn't select me.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. No, it's not that you're not good enough. That's never the case.
Right.
That's where the grace comes in. It's this wasn't for me yet.
Yes.
Or there's something better that's a better fit. For me, I spent years looking at opportunities abroad, but you know what? That was supposed to teach me how to help other people identify what like their track is. All
Yes.
of
Exactly.
my no's were to help everybody else get their yes.
Yes, and that takes an open mind to be open to like, wow, I can actually being unattached to any particular outcome, but open to what can emerge is such a golden piece of wisdom because for life, we get so attached to these goals when really sometimes we're like, but I need that thing over there. And it's like, wait a second, look at me. So thank
You're freezing up a little bit, but you said the word need. One thing that has really helped me is taking that word need out of my vocabulary, right? Like there are certain things we
you.
need. We need water, we need shelter,
Water.
we
Yeah.
definitely need love. But
Yeah.
there's going to be people on this journey that say to you, like, why do you need to go live in Japan? Let's not get it twisted. I don't need to do anything,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, once you take away that need,
Yeah.
then the world and the universe and the energy around you is like, oh, you don't need it. You're right.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
Now here you are. You
Yeah.
let go of it. I don't need it, but here's what I desire. Here's my heart's desire. And
Yeah.
it's the same as like when you say like, I really need this job. Will you get the job? Absolutely not. But
Right.
when you're like, all right, I'm going to go in there, provide so much value, have a great experience, have a great time. Awesome. That's when you're going to get the job. It's
Exactly.
kind of like even in relationships, when you are out and you're like, I'm going out with my friends. I'm going to go meet someone tonight. That's the goal, to meet someone, to have a really good time. We're going, maybe, you know, we're going to,
Mm-hmm.
it would be nice to meet someone. That's when you're going to meet someone. Because
Exactly.
that energy
Exactly.
of, I'm not here to need this person or this thing. Awesome. Great. Now you can have it.
Exactly. Exactly. Golden, golden, golden. As usual, you keep bringing it, Chizzy. As usual. I
I'm
know
just
this
a
has been
vessel.
that's right. That's right. All right. So how can people keep following your awesome vessel of brilliance?
So they can join my global community, which is called createyourglobalcareer.com. It'll lead you straight to the Facebook group.
Nice.
We have we partner with some of like the most interesting like global people out there that are doing the things that you're like, how do I connect with her? Like I have a friend named Rachel who's like a huge travel influencer.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Rachel, you don't know Rachel, right? If you don't know some expats in the group that are expat experts and coaches, I have someone in there who has been a digital nomad for 19 years. This is probably the 20th year, meaning like before it was cool and trendy,
Mm-hmm.
before social media existed, he already figured out the code. So it's those types of people that we bring them on and we say, hey guys,
Yeah.
share it with you.
I love that.
And so I invite all you guys to come in there because community is a big part of this journey. We didn't even talk
Yeah.
about that, but if you don't have
I know.
that, you're going to be walking alone. And then you'll
Yeah.
crumble because the people around you, the shoulds that around you are going to say, well, you should just stay here. And at some point, you're going to say, yeah, you're right. I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Mm-hmm.
There were
Yeah.
literally 2 to 3 years in my life where I said, maybe they're right. People
Yeah.
said to me, if you keep, traveling like this and doing this, all this stuff, you're going to end up alone. And I was like, maybe they're right. Can I
Yeah.
tell you that in that time, I was single. So I was miserable. And I still, like, it still didn't achieve what they said. And I allowed their fear to be my fear. And I
Right.
didn't have a community. And that's
Right.
the reason I crumbled. I was like, they love me and they're successful. So they might be right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's step 3 of their challenge today is to name at least 3 people that are going to support them on this journey, just to say like,
Come into that community and
yeah,
ask
and you
for
got,
3 people.
right, that's right.
Like,
I love it.
challenge, I'm going to add to
What a beautiful,
say, hey,
sorry, you cut
okay,
out.
yeah, I think it's having us look.
It cut out for a second. Sorry. Yeah, you're back. You're back. Okay.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
I was saying they can
Yeah.
jump right in and like find those 3 people in our community. And I will personally tag other people for them that have a similar vision. So if I want to be a travel blogger, I want to do humanitarian work abroad, I want to teach English abroad, you know, we can come and like match make them with other people that have similar visions, right?
So powerful.
Without this community, you will relapse. And I've been there. So I'm not just speaking
Yeah.
from theory. Like I was there, I was alone, I was silent, and I swore I was the
Yeah.
only person going through this.
Yeah. 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 And that's why I love everything that you bring, Chizzy, because you bring so much vulnerability, authenticity, love, spirit, and you do what you do. And I think I'm confident that people are going to walk away from this really thinking differently about their influence in the world and how tangible and impactful it really is. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's been such a gift having the pleasure and honor to talk with you, really.
I had a great time. So thank you for inviting me. I always am humbled. Um, the shy story in me is always like, wow, you want me to what me? So thank you. It's still in the back of the head, but I accept gracefully, and I'm so glad to have been able to share this with you guys.
Yeah, so much love to you, and we'll be in touch. We'll share the Facebook group below, but anything else you want to share, we can also tag that below too. Much love to everybody who's watching, and thank you again. Journey where this next chapter takes you. I know you're going to be somewhere soon, so keep on shining strong.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
All right.